Hello everyone. Welcome to Assessment Bites, a series of short videos that will give you some food for thought and various strategies you can use to drive learning forward. In today's video, we will take a close look at how grades are calculated in our gradebooks and explore some considerations for making gradebook setup choices that work best for learning and reporting. Have you ever had a student or parent approach you with a concern about the grade? They come with their calculator in hand and a printout of their marks for the term to date, and they say, I did the calculations and my average should be higher. What's going on here? It's not as though our gradebook program has suddenly made a calculation error. It's helpful to know before setting up our gradebooks how our grade calculation settings can in fact impact a student's grade. Student grades can be a contentious issue. We have lots of words for them. Mark, overall grade, school awarded mark. Alberta Education uses this one for the mark before you write your diploma exam. Traditional grade, but most often we hear the word average. Overall grades are often referred to as averages because of the belief that a grade is determined by averaging all the percentages on each assignment or test. But if you've been using an electronic gradebook to help you determine grades at all in the past 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, you know this just isn't the case. In fact, one of the most common misconceptions about how a grade is determined is that it's an average. So I used my trusty spreadsheet or Google Sheets to help me show this visually, but students will usually get out their calculators and show you the calculations right beside you. And this is usually how it's brought to our attention. A student or parent points out that the grade in PowerSchool is incorrect by showing you their calculations. When you check your work, you make sure that you haven't misentered any data. You make sure that your gradebook is set up right. And yet the student has in PowerSchool a different grade than what they calculated. What's going on here? Most gradebook programs offer teachers a few options for calculating a traditional grade. A traditional grade is expressed as a percentage, and why this type of grade is called traditional is a matter for another time and another video, but for now let's focus on how those calculations are made. If you're like most teachers, student overall grades in your class have been calculated either by total points or category weighting. When using total points, the gradebook will calculate a student's final grade by dividing the points the student earned for the class by the number of points possible for the class, regardless of category. The category in this case is for reference only. In our example here, the teacher uses the category to indicate the unit of study. When using category weighting, if there is only one category in use, the same principle applies. The entire grade will be based upon the points earned in that category versus the total category possible points. At this point, teachers will wonder, if using total points and category weighting make the same grade, then why does it matter? So if we only have or use one category, we've already seen it absolutely does not matter. But what happens when an additional category is used? Let's look at what happens now when students do work for the next unit. For illustrative purposes, we will compare two fake classes. 8C is set up as total points and 8G is set up as category weighting. The first four imaginary students in each class have been given identical scores for identical assignments for easy comparison. The images you see here show grades when only one category is used. Let's look more closely at student number 4, Miriam from 8C. She has 4 assignments in the first unit of study, 15 marks, 11 marks, 5 marks, 16 marks, and Jocelyn, the 4th student in 8G, has the exact same marks for those same assignments. And we can see that both students have the same overall traditional grades of 60.26%. When we add 2 new assignments for the next unit, what do you notice about their overall grades? Both Miriam and Jocelyn have identical scores for each assessment, but now there is a 12% difference between their grades. Let's look at my trusty spreadsheet again. I've made this so we can see it all in one place. Total points was Miriam's class, 8C. It's set up so that all the points are divided by all the points possible and then multiplied by 100 to get her grade. The categories in a total points configuration are irrelevant to calculations. Jocelyn's class is set up as category weighting. When we use category weighting, we assign broad classifications for assignments, such as the type of assessment task, like homework and tests, or by unit, as in our example today. Each category is assigned a weight to determine how it contributes to the final grade. The percentage of points the student earns for each category is multiplied by the weight. So here we can see that there are 3 categories. In the first category, the student has earned 60% of the points. In the second category, 20% of the points. And in the third category, wait, there's an arrow. That's because that last category, the green one, is our final exam category. And it's too early in the semester to have a final exam, so it's going to remain blank. So it's important to note that if there are no assignments within a category, the weight of the category will be redistributed across the other categories. So this 15% attributed to the final exam category before that final exam, we need to distribute that 15%. So it's equally redistributed to the other categories. So now we can see in the orange column, the blue category is now weighted at 58.82%, and the purple category is weighted at 41.18%, and the green category is completely disregarded. So now that we have our redistributed weights here, the value of each category is now shown in the pink column, and this grade at the very bottom, circled in dark pink, that is the grade using category weighting. Let's look at the 2 classes side by side now. What you can't see in these pictures is that there are 2 categories in use for both classes. All scores for the first 4 students of each class are identical on each assignment. Now is a good time to stop to consider ideas to build your knowledge and understanding. I recommend using the See, Think, Wonder thinking routine to do this work. It goes like this. Take 1 minute of observation time to jot down what you see in the images. What do you notice? Now is not the time for questions or interpretations, only what you can physically point to in the images. Then take 1 or 2 minutes of thinking time to jot down what you think about what you're seeing in the images. Consider this question. Which set of grades is more accurate? And no matter what your answer is to that question, what makes you say that? Finally, take 1 or 2 minutes of questioning time to wonder. What questions do you have about these observations and thoughts? If you are viewing this video with colleagues, select a moderator who will share their thoughts first. And then each member will discuss what they see. And then, after everyone has had a turn, they discuss what they thought, and then again, what they wonder. Group members are encouraged to build upon one another's ideas during this sharing time. The moderator will close the discussion with a reflection or summary of the discussion to the whole group. Pause the video now to engage in this thinking routine. After all of that thinking and consideration, you might be asking, so how do I decide? When it comes down to it, teachers must use their professional judgment to make decisions about grading. While there is a small but growing group of teachers who determine final grades less by relying on calculations and more by relying on professional judgment, and of course, this is a subject for yet another video, most of us need to keep a few things in mind when making these decisions. Are all assessments created equal? Should one assessment be worth more than other assessments? Why or why not? Consider our example, the WMIS worksheet. It's worth 15 points, which is more than the lab safety project, which is worth 10 points. The WMIS worksheet covers maybe half an outcome, but the lab safety project covers several. Is it appropriate for that safety project to be worth less? TQS requires teachers to align learning and assessment to the programs of study and then to report the level of that learning. So how can we use categories to make the level of learning of the outcomes clear to students and other invested parties? There are a lot of things to think about when making these decisions, and our students deserve for us to make these decisions with intention. If you'd like to learn more about grading, you can check out these books online, or you can find some other resources on our SharePoint site. If you have specific questions, feel free to reach out to your assessment and reporting consultant at Lumen Christi. Thanks for watching and have a great day.